just want to thank everybody for joining us. I know it's a pretty busy time of the year. We're wrapping up third quarter, getting ready to go into fourth quarter, the end of the year. And hopefully everyone's optimistic for a new year. It's going to be here before you know it. But I just want to add, and Beth, if you could go to the next slide. Tonight's class is bonding and insurance. Is going to be presented by Mr. Darrell Morgan. I will read his bio and introduce him in a minute. But before we get started, I just want to make sure, before I turn it over to Beth, I want to make sure that everyone is definitely taking care of their homework assignments and doing their part. Obviously, the bonding education workshop program has been very intentional and specific. You have had accounting, you've had estimating, you've had how to do business, and tonight you're going to hear the essential part of the bonding education. So before I get into introducing our presenter for the evening, I'll turn it over to Beth for the roll call. Beth Barner.
Good evening, everyone. Our roll call that we have right now attending, who is this? I have a person on an iPhone. Who is that? Could you tell me?
Beth, this is probably me, Tiffany Nowlin
Yeah,
with Bryce.
that's you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Okay, so we have present, we have Mr. Eddie. Is Eddie Smith? Yes. We have Levette Couch. Precise. Is Precise there as a group? Can I see you guys?
The camera's not working on this particular computer, but we're here.
Okay, so tell me who's all there from you for your company.
It's gonna be it's Carlton Allen, Lysandra Williams, Jay Welch, and Shantae Hunter.
Lashonda, Carlton Allen.
Yes, ma'am.
Lashonda Wilson.
Lysandra Williams.
And the next name?
Jay Welch.
I know Jay Welch, Mr. Welch, yes.
And Shantae Hunter.
Yes, Shantae Hunter.
Shantae.
How you guys and ladies? And we have Miss Keela Fitzgerald, Virginia Murphy. Miss Murphy, you can turn your camera off now since you're driving. And Miss TJ Jewell. Tiffany Nowlin told me she was on also. So we're happy to have you guys on. Have 11 participants on at the moment, and we are going to get started soon. The only change we had, there was an emergency come up in Clayton County, could not participate. Something emergency had arisen last night, but we'll try to get them on later on in our sessions if possible. We are understanding things do come up. And with that, we got the roll call done. Happy you guys on. And Mr. Our speaker, as Mr. Jackson said, is Mr. Darrell Morgan of Fifth Down. He's a surety bond specialty of Fifth Down Consulting. And there you go, Mr. Joe Jackson.
Great, thank you very much. And also I want to share with everyone that we have confirmed the location for the November 15th bonding education certificate of completion award ceremony. It's going to be from 3 to 5, and we're going to be sending out the information. The location is Skanska USA Building downtown. And also right now we have invited and we are confirmed that representatives from the USDOT Secretary's Office of Small Disadvantaged Business Utilization will also be in attendance. So we look forward to that, and we hope to see each and every one of you there. So as Beth mentioned, yep, tonight class is bonding, And we have our presenter, Mr. Darrell Morgan. Darrell is no stranger to the bonding education program. He has presented on several, with us on several bonding education programs over the years. Darrell is founder of Fifth Down Consulting Group, LLC, located here in Atlanta. Darrell is also a native of Atlanta, having graduated from Southwest Atlanta High School. He received his Bachelor's of Science degree in accounting in 1978 from the University of Georgia. He later completed his studies at Aetna Life and Casualty Surety Bond School in Hartford, Connecticut. In 1980, he completed his Aetna Life and Casualty Sales Agent School in Hartford as well. He went on in 1990 to obtain his Series 7 designation and to become a registered representative. Darrell's professional profile began early after completing his Aetna Life Casualty Surety Bond School with field training in Jackson, Mississippi in 1980. As a result of his surety bond training, he became a surety bond broker for Interstate Insurance Services, which is an affiliate of H.J. Russell & Company. With his involvement in the insurance industry, this brought on the development of the Morgan Insurance Group. Darrell, with his father, Henry Morgan, started Morgan Insurance Group in July of 1984. The MIG later became the co-broker of record for the City of Atlanta, Metropolitan Atlanta Rapid Transit Authority, MARTA. The assignment continued over 25 years. They were one of the co-brokers for the 1996 Olympic Games. MIG placed and serviced property liability and bond programs through the Lords of London and Bermuda insurance facilities. In January of 2017, a new organization was formed, the Fifth Down Consulting Group. With over 30 years of experience, Darrell discovered that minorities and small business firms were having difficulties becoming pre-qualified for surety bond credits. But that premise for 5DCG was to establish and to address the needs and concerns of minority and female small businesses requiring a contract and commercial surety bonds on public-private projects. Since the inception, Fifth Down has consulted with Fulton County government to provide surety bond pre-qualifications for the Fulton County registered vendors. This service is designed to assist small businesses and minority firms and vendors of Fulton County to become surety bond pre-qualified. Darrell has over 25 years of experience in placing surety bonds with the Small Business Administration Surety Bond Guarantee Program. He also has relationships with CNA, Hartford, Crumb & Forster insurance companies. Ladies and gentlemen, if that wasn't a mouthful, you will definitely get your worth tonight. Let's introduce Darrell Morgan. Darrell, let's turn it over to you.
Okay. Good evening. Hello.
Good evening. Good evening.
Good evening. It's my pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to be here and talk about this subject of bonding. It's something that's very, very close to my heart. Bonding, as you know, is the mother's milk of the construction and services business. And we have a tremendous opportunity here in Atlanta to increase our net worth as well as grow some generational wealth. I'm happy this evening to be able to present to you the Surety Bond Program as it relates to the Small Business Administration Educational Program. So with that, I want to share with you Fifth Down Consulting Group. What you see at the right-hand corner is an institution here in Atlanta. It's called Greater Atlanta Economic Alliance. And for those of you who don't know, that institution has been around for quite some time. And there's some history that I want to share with you at the end of this presentation concerning Greater Atlanta Economic Alliance.
Mr. Morgan, we don't see it.
Oh, you don't see it?
No, try it again.
Okay,
Could be me.
no, could be me. See it?
Nope.
Darrell, at the bottom, there's a green block share screen. Make sure,
Yes.
yeah, gotcha. Once you select the share screen,
Mm-hmm.
your body of your folder should come up, and select on your PowerPoint, then it should pop up.
Right, well, yeah, I was trying to find that share screen piece. One second.
He did it well this after earlier.
Well.
Go to your view in the Zoom and select the view
Okay.
button,
Yeah.
view, and you
Okay.
should be able to see it then.
Thank you, Joe.
It came up and went away.
Is that it?
It came up, but it went away. I saw that.
Right. Yeah, I see.
Yep, there it is. It's coming on now. So just expand it. Yep.
I was trying to get back to the slide side.
Yep.
One second, please. Give me.
Yep. We have the slide now. Just go down to your bottom and expand it. Yep.
It's not coming up. One second. See it? No, you don't see it. There it is.
There it is. We see it, Darrell. So all you have to do now is
Mhm.
to the bottom screen and select it. Yep. To expand it.
He's got to start the PowerPoint. It should be a button that looks like at the bottom right, it should be a button that looks like a TV screen. You hit that like
Yeah.
a curtain,
Mhm.
and you hit that, and it'll start.
There it is. Bottom right. Thanks, Hebrew.
Yep.
Yep. To the bottom right
Thank you, Bill.
and select it.
Well,
You got it. You got it. It's at the bottom right. Look at the bottom next. It says 100%. The bottom right under Alliance logo is 100%. Right next to that 100%, go down lower. Go down lower. Don't click that logo. Go down lower. Right. Go over to the right. Go over to the right. Nope. Come back. Right. Nope. Come back. One more. To the left. Right there. Right there. Nope. Come back. Right there. That's the start. Just PowerPoint right there. You got to click it though.
I did.
Yeah, you got to click it twice. Put it back. Go back to the right just a little bit. Nope. Click it right. Click it twice. Double click.
He has an error message in the middle of the screen. He has to hit cancel on. Yeah.
Oh, you got to hit the arrow. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Cancel that out in the middle of the screen. You see it? Yeah. Cancel that out. You're almost there. You got to go to the middle of the screen and cancel the error message out. That's why it's hitting that. That's why you're hearing that beep.
Yeah.
There you go. Go down lower and cancel. Next to OK is cancel. Take your mouse down lower. Down lower. Okay. Go over to the right just a little bit. Cancel that right there. Okay. Now go back to the bottom right. Go down to the bottom right and then hit that, right? Hit double click that. There you go. You got it.
Good?
Yes, sir.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much.
Teamwork make the
Hebrew.
dream work, brother. Teamwork make the dream work.
Amen. I got something good for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I need for you to understand that this is a very serious matter with me. And I want to start by just talking about the surety bond program with the SBA. The law requires, according to the Miller Act, 1936, that you provide the government with a performance or payment bond. What happened in 1936 was the taxpayer had to be protected in the event that a contractor or a supplier was not paid. So the bonding industry was created, and in the process, the SBA came along later. Now, the reason I want you to understand why the SBA is important in 1936, because in 1964, historically speaking, that is the reason why we're here. Because in 64, the Civil Rights Act came into play. And in 64, Dr. King structured some things with Lyndon Johnson, which created the DBEs, i.e. Transit, i.e. MARTA, Airport, and DOT. Those are the three agencies that are under this US DOT department program. And we can't participate without having adequate bonding, which the Surety Bond Guarantee Program allows us to gain greater access. That's what I have. I have access to this program for us so that we can help grow our companies. Now, what does it look like? They say they open doors for bonding. Well, you see the various industries that are being covered: construction, services, supply, and manufacturing firms, new and emerging firms, limited financial resources. They also accept internal financial statements, which is very, very uncommon in the surety industry. You need current bond limits increased. We are able to do that as well. And establish subcontractors becoming prime bonding. Now, that's a subject matter where you hear some people say, I'm a prime sub. Well, that's what that is. And so we have the opportunity to offer bonding under these areas through the Small Business Administration. And you'll see what kind of capacity they have. So consider this: before you can even participate under the DOT's program and obtaining a bond, one must become pre-qualified for a bid bond. And as you can see, what a bid bond does, it guarantees that the small business will supply required performance and payment bonds and maintenance bonds upon a contract reward. Now, the bid bond, you don't receive a bid bond unless you've been pre-qualified to receive a performance and payment bond. The surety companies will not issue a bid bond without you having already established a relationship with them, identification, financial statements. Once that's been reviewed and analyzed, then we will issue the performance bond, which is totally different from the payment bond and totally different from the maintenance. It guarantees that the project will be complete. But remember that Miller Act says that all labor and materials, subcontractors, and suppliers were paid under the payment bond. Most claims today happen under the payment side of the bond. Performance bonds, very rarely do we have any claims in that area. Now, maintenance bonds. Some contracts call for maintenance for material and workmanship defects. So those are things that we will look for in a contract. Does the contract, remember now, we're talking about contract bonds, and I apologize. Contract bonds. A contract bond is a surety bond. But in this case, we're looking specifically to a contract so that we can bond that contract for performance and payment. Now, there are a couple of things you need to know about doing business with the Small Business Administration. The Small Business Administration does not issue the bonds. The surety companies issue the bonds. but they issue the bonds after they have gathered this underwriting information that you see on the screen. We will have to obtain your past experience, understand what type of supervisory system you have, management controls, and to be quite candid with you, most of the time the accounting can be the linchpin. So we have to focus in on the accounting to make sure that we're getting proper accounting, even though it may be internally prepared. So financial statements. Under the financial statements, there's that term, working capital, net worth and profitability. Let me share with you what the working capital really means. On your balance sheet, it will be separated between current assets and current liabilities. So the difference between the current assets and current liabilities, quote, for bonding purposes, we consider as your working capital. So that's another aspect of this educational process that you need to become familiar with, is how to determine your working capital. Because working capital will determine what size bond you can get to some degree. Now, CPA prepared financial statements for project over $2 million. That's true as it relates to the Small Business Administration. However, we can do write bonds without CPA prepared statements, but we'll get into that. Now, on the credit resources side, your personal credit, your bank credit, and supplier credit. Your personal credit can allow you to, through the Small Business Administration, receive a bond up to $500,000 without a financial statement, and we'll go over that. But your bank credit, should you have a bank line of credit, it can help you to increase your bonding capacity through the Small Business Administration. No other surety facilities will use bank lines of credit to increase your bonding capacity. So that's a very, very valuable tool that we need to think about and how to utilize. Supplier credit, your suppliers will provide you as much credit as you would want, given when you provide them with a bond. Remember that payment bond covers your supplier. Here are the statements that you'll need to become familiar with in order to grow your company. These are financial statements at various stages. As you can see, fiscal year-end business financial statements for jobs up to $1 million. The SBA will underwrite you with an in-house statement. Jobs up to $2 million, an in-house plus or compilation, CPA compilation. 2 million to 6 is a review, and 6.5 is an audit. So let me share something with you about those three different types of opinions that CPAs render. The compilation is a compilation of all your your information. The CPA simply puts it on their letterhead. They don't do any verification, and they issue the statement as you give them that information from your books. Now, when you receive a reviewed financial statement, they, being the CPA, must make some analytical analysis of your cash statement, your receivables. They do some analysis, but they don't do as great a detail of your analysis as they do when you have an audit. When you have an audit, then every piece of paper on that balance sheet will be examined. Every number has to be examined and looked at. So those are the three levels: compilation, review, and audit. In-house, however, can be very powerful. The interim business financial statement in-house, I want you to go to the next slide and look at in-house plus equals a CPA's compilation. You see how the SBA has tried to make it easier for us to obtain bonding, because your in-house statement will not have gone through the CPA. You will need a balance sheet, income statement, which you can get off of QuickBooks. However, to bring it up to that level, we need to get an aging of your accounts receivable and accounts payable. Okay, and no negative liabilities. I can't think of a liability not being negative, but in this case, they are looking at liabilities that have not been taken care of properly. Consolidated financial statements, that's should you have more than one company. Okay, now, what is incumbent is that you provide the financial statements 120 days from your financial statement date. We must keep the SBA informed as to where you are on a financial basis every 20 days, 120 days. Now, if you have any questions, just stop me and let's talk about it. But I want to keep going because there's a lot of information I want to share with you. But by all means, please jot down some notes, because I haven't gotten to the point of wanting to ask you yet why you're here. What can I help you with? What's the purpose? Because bonding is not scientific. So there are a lot of variables that you would need to understand, and we won't get it all this evening, but I'll be totally available to help you. Now, this is where the SBA really has advantage over other surety companies. Once we get you pre-qualified, you see, normally working capital is looked at as 10 times in order to develop your bonding capacity. $100,000 working capital, 10 times that, $1 million. But the SBA will use 20 times working capital. Now, why and how? Remember that working capital formula, current assets minus current liabilities? But you have a bank line of credit. It could be on your house. It could be on your business. They will include the bank line of credit with your working capital from your balance sheet in order to compute your bonding capacity. That's a lot of bonding capacity that you normally wouldn't get otherwise without the SBA. And if you can tell, they will accept internally financial statements. Internal statements can be used to increase your bonding capacity, but we need to make sure that our QuickBooks accounting is correct. Okay, we need to make sure that we understand the accounting aspect when it comes to accrual accounting and receivables, and not on the cash basis of accounting. Because cash basis of accounting does not allow you to include your accounts receivable. So we need to have accounts receivable as a part of the working capital formula. Now, here is some information that you want to keep in mind. It has to do with business eligibility with affiliation. That's if you have some affiliation. Some of you may just not have affiliation, but I don't want to assume that you don't, because people are entrepreneurs, and I realize that. But as you can tell, 50% or more is controlled. Minority stockholders able to block action of the board. Officers, members, partners control if stock widely held. Well, that's publicly traded. Relationships, common management, okay? Common management is important, as well as close relatives with substantial identical businesses. So those are the kinds of things you want to be paying attention to, even though it may not be something at this point that you're looking at. But I wanted to share that thought with you, because I can tell things are happening so fast with people, and people are getting opportunities they never even thought of before in terms of joint venturing and things of that nature. All right, what you see here are the 3 levels of capacity that the SBA will provide. The Quick app is up to $500,000. And there's some special caveats about that. But over $500,000, then we have to go through the bonding process. That's gathering all the financial information, underwriting information. But you can go up to $6.5 million with the SBA. And you see the type of contracts they'll underwrite: federal, state, local, private, and GC. Now, when you get past the 6.5, remember now the level of financial reporting that's required when you get up to that level. You're in the audited stage now. However, the SBA will guarantee up to $10 million in contracts if it's a federal contract with contracting officer certification to the SBA. So we have opportunity to grow here. We can start you all with the quick app, which is, follow me, credit score driven, up to $500,000. If your credit score is at least 680, and you have some background experience in the work you're trying to accomplish. What's interesting about that is that you're not obligated to just have one $500,000 project. You can have 2 or 3 based on your credit score, not your balance sheet. So as an underwriter, I wouldn't allow you to put on too much based on your credit score if your balance sheet wasn't sufficient. That's from the surety side. I'm being honest with you. See, the numbers say you can do it, but your credit score is good. But what percent complete would you be when you want to go to the next project? That's going to be important for us to consider when you're trying to move from one 500 to another 500. Now, it's important that all contracts require a bond. The contract must say it has to be bonded in order for us to utilize the Small Business Administration. That includes bid bonds, performance bond, payment bond, and maintenance bond. Now, an NTE has some significance in the state of Georgia. NTE stands for not to exceed 100% of the contract. If any of you are familiar with the fact that the state of Georgia DOT has a contract amount, a contract that says 110%. That's the DOT's. Now, that's not the maintenance program, but that's the Georgia GDOT's contract when we're dealing with the highways, but not the maintenance program. I'm sure some of you are familiar with the different pots of money, federal money versus state money, but they all will require bonds. So keep in mind that 100%, that language is in the contract. 100%, 110, the state of Georgia, DOT, not MARTA, not the airport. Bear in mind, we're talking 3 agencies: Department of Transportation, MARTA, airport, and DOT. The next statement, written bond requirement, it must be in there that the bond is required. Ancillary bonds when specific to projects with performance and payment guarantees. That could be a maintenance bond, ancillary bond. Now, what is important is that sentence at the bottom, ineligible. Bid bonds where projects has bid, substantially completed projects. You've already started the project, ineligible. They don't handle subdivision, mining, reclamation, and pay attention to that annual commercial and fidelity bond. Because see, not all bonds are contract bonds. Some bonds are commercial bonds. But if it's on an annual basis, it can be underwritten, even though it's saying it's ineligible. If it's an annual contract, not a multi-year contract, unless it's annual as well.
We have one question.
Okay.
Hi, Mr. Darrell.
Good evening.
Good evening. I have a question regarding the Quick App 500K bond.
Okay.
What if I have a project and it's 4 buildings?
Okay.
And I have the contracts are written per building. So it's not
Okay.
a contract with the whole amount. It's
Okay.
A, B, C, or D.
All right,
So the amount of the bonding capacity, I guess, would be for the amount of the contract, right?
correct.
At least, right?
Yeah.
So if I have 4 contracts but individually they don't come up to 500K,
Okay.
but collectively, do I ask for the bond for all 4 or do I go for each one? Because if I do it collectively, it's going to be over 500.
Well, what we would do is take a look at each contract.
Mhm.
And there are some underwriting requirements, regardless if it's 500,000 or 2,000. So I would want to know who the owner is. I would want to know what my liquidated damages are.
Mhm.
I would want to know what my time to complete is, how much time they give us to do it.
Okay.
Also, we would want to know what bond form they're requiring. Are they requiring their own bond form, or are we going to be able to use an AIA bond form? Those are just some preliminary thoughts before we get to, can we bond those 4 buildings?
Okay.
500,000 is a single job amount. So if you have 4 at 50,000, then certainly we should be able to bond them all. But they're separate quick apps, okay? Not under
Right.
one. Right.
Right.
They'll be
Right.
separate, but they're separate contracts, correct?
Correct.
All right, yeah, well, we should be able to handle that for you without any pain, because under 500,000 quick app, and I'm glad you asked that question, because what I want to do now is show you what the quick application really looks like.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. See it? Hello?
I think you have to go back to your projector icon down the bottom right-hand corner.
Yes. Go back to that little TV stand.
It disappeared.
Let's see. Are you sharing?
Yeah, I want to share this application.
Yeah, you already,
Okay.
the application? Is it
Yeah.
on your slide? Are you trying to
It's on
go
my
there?
slide. Yes, on my slide.
Okay, so just go to that little TV at the bottom right again.
Mhm.
Down there.
Not
You
showing.
see,
No, I don't see it, but I want
Okay.
to see.
go, remember earlier over there by that 100%, the TV next to the 100% at the bottom.
Right, well.
Click on that. You're not on, click on that one. At the,
Not giving me.
Yeah, the Darrell, the one closest to the 100%. Click on that.
Yep, all the way down, like you did before.
Yeah,
Well,
bottom right,
Right
the
Well,
one
next to the
closest to the
100%. To the
100%.
left of the 100%.
Yes.
move your cursor.
Well, it's not at the bottom now. That's why I was looking up at the top where my picture is.
Well, yeah, we could see it. It's on your, go to the bottom right of your page,
Mm-hmm.
left of the 100%, click on, double click that, like you did before.
Okay. Let me try something else. It's not showing.
Just the cursor.
Yeah, with the cursor, I can't see the icon. That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
At the
well, if you
bottom.
move it down there, it may pop up. Sometimes it goes away.
Okay, yeah.
You move the cursor down that way, it'll pop up maybe. The legend. You don't see it?
No. But you can't see my screen, right?
I see it. Yeah, we see all the slides. We see your screen. We just trying to make you be able to show that one slide you're trying to show us.
Yeah.
Oh,
just
no,
scroll.
it's self-slides. This is gonna, see, it's gonna move. Can you see it? That's
You
what I
gotta
wanna-
start your projection over, yeah. Just go down to the bottom.
Okay.
You see it? All the way down to the bottom, you see the 100%.
Right
Yes, I
there.
do.
Double, yeah, right, double click.
Click that.
Double click. One more time. Yeah. Okay, you gotta get rid of that. Go up. There you go.
There you go.
You got it done.
Now, but I want to pull this application up for you. That's where I'm at.
If you're trying to pull the real application up, but show a screen, a PowerPoint screen,
It's not a PowerPoint. It's a
that's gonna be
PDF.
an issue right there, maybe.
Well, hold on one second.
Okay.
I think I can handle it. I want to share my screen. But I
You want to go
want
to another
pull up-
share screen, huh? Is that what you're trying to do?
Mhm.
We do that. I
Mhm.
think it's called.
I want to share the screen with the application on it. Yeah. You don't see it.
No, we back with all the slides.
All the slides.
I forgot it's a term to use when you want to go to another screen to share. Go back and forth sharing. It's called a term. I forgot.
I had it, and I apologize because I'm familiar with what you're saying.
It was, what was it called? Next share or something. What is it called? I forgot.
Well, but what I want to say about this quick app, let me just go through that with you so that you'll have that. The application is very simple. It's a one-page application.
Now you making sure the other thing now.
Okay. I think that's it right there.
There you go.
That's it?
Yeah.
We good? Okay.
Office of Security Guarantees, quick bond.
Quick application.
That's
correct.
it. Yeah. Okay.
That's it. Now,
Mhm.
you see it'll say 400,000, but that number changed about 2 weeks ago, 500,000. This is information that you would need to complete in order to pre-qualify. So, it's pretty basic information that you would already have. Now what's important here is that you provide me with your annual receipts last 3 years, if that's the case, number of employees. But what's also important is you show that you have some history, okay? Some work that you have performed. It may have been bonded, it may not have been bonded. It may be more than what you have, but at least we need to see that you are familiar with what you're trying to get bonded for. Okay, so now this is all the basic small business administration information. Your name, your title, what race you are. But there's some information about the applicant. We want to know if you're an 8A hub zone, if you have an SBA loan, I need the number. The general indemnity agreement, we'll take care of that. If you received an SBA guarantee in the past, are you presently debarred, suspended from the program? Now, the next slide, complete for each bid and final bond guarantee. So we want to know what type project it is. Construction, service, supply, or other. That question of liquidated damages. And we'll need to determine if they are weekdays or calendar days. So these are the things you want to look for in your contract. Project description and your location, your next code. How many people, number of employees on the job. Now, this next stage right here, we didn't talk about this term, but that word obligee, the obligee would be the general contractor, martyr, whosoever, the city of Atlanta, who's requiring the bond is the obligee, you will call the principal. Okay, so we want to get the obligee's name, address, and if they're federal or state obligees, the percentage of work you're going to subcontract out. That's important. You tell me if you're a prime or you're a sub. Then you want to sign, but try to obtain this information here. Sometimes the governments won't give you bid spread information. See where it says bid spread low, second low? This tells us how much you may have left on the table. Also, completion date. I'll have the bond numbers, but contract fees, we'll go over that. But I wanted to make sure that you try and get the bid spread, bid low, second low. I'll need, well, that's if we had to increase you. There's another part to this that I need for you to. Okay, this right here. These questions are important and they have to be answered, but where it says initials, they want you to personally initial. It's a handwritten initial, not a typed initial. So keep that in mind. That's, you know, yes, no, and your initial. And there are, you see, there are several questions that you'll have to initial. Criminal questions, background questions, the department question, you see? So these are the questions. And whoever the individuals are, the principals are, then you'll sign. Now, the rest of it is the information you can read at your leisure.
Mr.
Yes.
Morgan, are you aware that we can't see your screen? Sorry to interrupt you, but
No, I was under the impression that you could.
no, sir, we're not able to see your screen. At least I can't.
I am seeing the.
I see it. I see it.
Yeah, I can see the screen as well.
I see
Okay,
it.
I see it now. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you. But this section right here is what most people type in their initials, but you want to handwrite your initials. That's critical for SBA purposes. But the other part of the information, application information, is pretty straightforward. You know, it's information that you will be aware of. You know, you go through your contract, you look to see what your liquidated damages are. You want to know whether they're calendar days or weekdays, and fill in your gender information. And this history is important. So we'll know that you have some knowledge of what you're trying to get bonded for. Does that help?
Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
good question for you.
Yes.
Because there may be some partnerships, some untraditional partnerships based on the opportunities in the marketplace. They may have a financial partner,
Okay.
and that how would a financial partner apply and qualify for the bond if they don't own the company, or do they need to have ownership of the company to be able to financially support that with a bond? If they have a strong financial partner, and
Okay,
one
so
has
you,
expertise.
well, it sounds like you're speaking of a third party.
Yes, sir.
Indemnity.
Or it may have to be a partner in the
Mhm.
business. That's the question, because a lot of people
Okay.
may have financial.
Okay,
and the
well,
people
there's
that
a lot of ways. That's what makes bonding unscientific. Because see, if you have a partner and they are liquid and they want to help, what do we do to get them involved without getting their indemnity involved? Or are they willing to be indemnitor? If they're an indemnitor, then they'll have ownership, right? So in this case, we have an individual that wants to help secure bonding by providing financing. Certainly that line of credit can be used. You know, that's one way of doing it. The other way is for them to extend capital and then become a long-term debt holder If they become a current debt holder, that means that within the next 12 months, we'd have to repay the money. So it just depends on the nature of the partner and what the partner's intent is and the usage of the money. See, if they put the money in and we ask them to subordinate it, which means that you can't take it out until, you know, you provide us with some information of, you know, the project is substantially complete. So partners can be very good. It just depends on the nature of a partner. But I'm glad you brought that question up, bro, because I've run into a situation here that unusual and infrequent. Let's say I've got a professional athlete, has a lot of money, and he wants to go into construction. Well, he's found an individual that knows construction very well. May have had some problems in the past, but come work for me. The challenge becomes this under the SBA now. Because the football player owns more than 51%, is not in the business on a primary basis, they won't qualify. Because they have the capital, they have an individual that can help them, but they will not qualify under the SBA. So that's when we have to go into other resources. But that's what made me say that, Hebrew, because I was working on a case such as that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for the question, because that was one that had me puzzled lately. Let's see if I can get that.
Class, as he goes to the next one, that's something to think about when you talk about building your capacity, your scale. So if you know someone that has some financial wherewithal, there may be a way creatively to make you stronger on paper that would allow you to participate on larger projects, which that makes all the sense in the world when you're trying to split the money at the end, because the more money to split, right? And as it always is said in the business, it's just as hard to build a $1 million building as it is to build a $10 million building, right? So just something to think about when you look at your opportunities coming down the road.
That's true. That is true.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Now, regarding bonding, should we be bonded before we get a contract, or is it just once you receive the contract?
that's a good question. What I would suggest you do is you and I get together and get you pre-qualified before you get the contract. Or let me share this way. You will know what your bonding capacity is, so you'll know what size projects you can bid on.
Yeah, very good question. So Darrell, if you could go through the process, and I'm sure you were going to go through the process and the timing and of the whole bond. Obviously, that's what this program is all about. And as with people before, after this program, once again, this is just a series of workshops. So as we conclude, then the next step is we're going to work with you individually with Darrell and as a bond producer to see exactly where you are financially and to see where exactly you are as it relates to the pre-qualification process. So Darrell, if you could share your process, that'd be great.
Yeah, well, to make it live for you, I'm sorry, Mr. Darrell, to make it live for you, that you give it to explain that, it's so important to have it before because you don't have a lot of time. If you get a contract and you win, they want to know the bonding pretty much quickly. So you don't have time to get all this stuff together. So what Mr. Morgan is sharing is you want to be on the ready to know that it maybe in a week or so you can get that done because it's just a matter of paperwork, not approval. Right? I'm sorry, Mr. Darrell.
No, Hebrew, that's essential because what I've run into, and I'm sure most of you have, when you're dealing with large contractors, what do they want? A bondability letter.
A bond? Right. That's what I was asking about.
Okay, yeah. No, I understand now. Bondability letters require that you become pre-qualified before we can issue a bondability letter. So you would have gone through the bonding process with me. We would have gathered the underwriting information on your company, financial statements, resumes, and track record, insurance. Obviously, we have to know what your insurance is, because what you may or may not be aware of is that the bond covers the contract in its entirety, which means that if you don't have the proper limits of insurance that's in the contract, and there's an insurance claim, then the surety could be held liable. Because remember, this is contract bonding. We're bonding the contract in its entirety, everything. So I have to look at all of the language. But that bondability letter, it can be obtained, but let me share some things with you about that so you'll be aware of it and you won't be surprised. I can issue a bondability letter, which I have to some large contractors, and then they'll turn around and say, well, we don't need the bondability letter. We don't need for you to be bonded. We want to put you in our own bond program, but we know you pre-qualified. Because your agent, your bonded, he just wrote me a letter saying you pre-qualified. But that's not what we want to do. We want to put you in this new program called SubGuard, Subcontractor Insurance Default Program. That's a conversation that we'll have, and I'll explain to you the pitfalls and the good falls about it, because it can help grow you. But please, by all means, stick to your knitting, and let's continue to become bondable, pre-qualified, because not all the time you will need a bondability letter to be placed in SubGuard. Sometimes you'll say, okay, well, we want you to go ahead and do the project under your bond. And that's what we really want to happen, because then you start to build a relationship with your surety company. And that's very important, that you have a relationship with your surety company. I have no problem in putting you in front of the surety underwriter. You talk to them directly. See, a lot of agents don't want you to talk to the underwriter. I used to be an underwriter, so I have no qualms about it. I just like for you to understand the process, that bondability letter, the pre-qualification letter, and how it can help you. But it can also put you in a different position as it relates to a contract. Did I answer your question, ma'am?
Yes, you did. So when it comes to the pre-qualification, what entails that process? Like, what are you all looking at? Is it more on the business, or is it more personal credit driven, as well as the business credit? Can you expound on that a little more?
Okay, well, let's take the quick out. Once we pre-qualify you, let's say for 500,000, then certainly we can provide you with a bondability letter saying that you have a single limit of 500,000. And that, that could get you going in the right direction with the contractor, but you want to develop a single limit and an aggregate limit. Single being, I can do a job up to 250, but the most I can keep on at one time is 500,000 until I grow my balance sheet. So what's entailed in getting to the pre-qualification of bondability letter is information gathering, financial information, personal and corporate. Work in progress report. There's a list of items that will be asked of you: insurance certificates, personal statements, corporate statements, work in progress, resumes. Those are the items that will get you pre-qualified. See, I could take the application for $500,000 and never even ask you for that other information and still get you a bond. But I think that's a disservice to you, because at some point you may need a $600,000 bond. So, any other thoughts?
Really
Okay.
quick, so
Thank
let's
you.
say we get approved for the 500K bond, and then the next go around we need an increase. Do you have to go through all those, the whole underwriting process again, or Is it?
Well, you say you need an increase on the same
Yes.
contract?
Yes.
Yeah, no. Once you pre-qualify for the 500,000 and then there's a change order that takes place, that can be accommodated. So no, you won't have to go back through the entire process. Because see, if there's a change order that takes place, that says that some work has already been completed. And so then this gets back to that bond form. See, some bond forms will say, we don't want to notify your surety, we just want to increase your contract amount. Some bond forms say if it's over 20%, then we'll ask you for a consent of surety. So it you know, those are kinds of things that we have to be in communication with and looking at who we're doing business with and what's in the contract. But no, increases is not a problem, not at all. As you can see, there's a screen here. Can you see the screen? You see the SBA guarantee makes a difference?
No.
No?
No, we are seeing but you.
Hmm?
We're not seeing your.
No, we don't see it, sir.
You don't see the screen?
No, sir.
Okay.
You have to share your screen again.
Yes.
Everyone, please mute your phones.
I need to share the screen.
Ms. Belinda, did he answer your question about annual?
Not yet.
Not yet. Mr. Morgan, Miss Belinda wanted to know, is annual a 12-month period or January to December?
It's an annual, it's not fiscal. In other words, the contract may run from September to September.
Okay.
Okay, yeah.
I have another question while you're getting that, if it's okay.
Certainly.
Okay. So if I have I'm bidding on a contract or get a contract as a sub, and I, hire another sub
Okay.
to complete work, what does that bonding look like? Is that something that, I could get, can I get a bond, or should I still have a bond? Or is it that the subcontractor would have to have the bond?
That's a good question. If you're a sub, right?
Right.
And you want to bring on a second tier sub, right?
Yes.
Another sub, right? And you're going to ask that sub to provide you with the bond, right? Okay.
I don't know. I'm asking, should I be asking, should the bond, when I, submit the bid, do I submit it with, because a lot of times they ask for a bond. So is that a bid that, a bond that I would get from my company, or is that the sub's job to get the bid?
Let me turn around on you. Let me turn around on you. So if it depends on the risk, right? So if you have a bond, you have a job, and then you sub out, and that subcontractor has a lot of risk, then you need to have a bond to protect yourself, or you need to have really, really tight controls about how they do it, meeting their schedule, their budget, because in the absence of a bond, they don't have skin in the game. So my sense of feeling, what I've always tried to push to folks is cover your risk. So if someone comes in and they can't get a bond, then something happens, they can walk, right? Their house is not on the line. They don't, they could just roll out. So the counsel is to secure your money first, meaning make sure they have a bond as best you can.
Well, that's true. And what I say is, This is risk management, what Hebrew's speaking of, okay? You want to manage your risk. And there are several different ways to manage your risk. If you're general or if you're a sub. Managing your, let me share a thought with you about risk management that you may or may not have heard before. There are only 3 ways that I understand you can manage risk. You can ignore the risk, you can assume the risk, or you can transfer the risk.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it.
If you ignore it, that's just like COVID. Some people ignored it. Some people assumed it for health reasons. And some people transferred it by getting a shot. So when I look at, what you're asking me, what are your options? He mentioned subcontractor bond, but also you can have joint check relationships, right, Hebrew? Well, joint checks mean that you paying the supplier or the subcontractor with your name and their name on the check to make sure it gets taken care of.
Okay, I didn't know that we could do that. I mean, you know that.
Oh yeah. You can do that. You can see sometimes general contractors will require joint checks with subcontractors. That's in order to protect them to make sure the suppliers get paid or the subcontractors get paid. But when you have a bond on the project, that's different. Because see, the bond is guaranteeing that the suppliers and the subcontractors are going to get paid. That answer your question?
I don't know if that is something that I would want to do, but
No.
yes. That's answered.
No, I don't think you. Well, I was just telling you that's an alternative to risk management for you. What I'm having a problem with, though, I need to get back to my slide. And you can't see the slide?
I can't see it. I don't know if anyone else can see it.
No,
No?
no.
Yeah, just go back to your progression, go back to the view and green share screen.
Yeah.
Is this a good time for a break?
If you can see the screen.
We see the screen.
Okay. It's a good time for a break. Will we take 5 minutes?
What time is it?
7:15.
7:15. We'll come back in. We'll say we'll come back in 7:22.
Okay. That works for me.
Everyone, 7:22.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
You can go back down there on that little next to the 100%, hit the TV. That little symbol. It'll come back full screen. We have good participation tonight too. Good attendance.
Very good. Very good.
You lost it. Go back to share screen.
No, I am.
Okay.
Okay. 7:22.
Okay. You want to put? You want to go ahead and make it a full screen? Down there, that little camera. One more over, one more to the right. Right there. Double click that. Yeah, that's it.
Is it?
Yep, 7:22.
All right, I'll be here. Thank you.
All right, put your, Darrell,
Mhm.
your video Zoom on mute.
Yes, okay, gotcha.
Let's see.
Hello,
Yes,
okay, we're back.
7:22.
Okay,
Everybody's back.
good.
We're gonna proceed.
Well, we're getting close to the end. However, what makes the SBA attractive to the bonding companies is that you see those percentages at the bottom, 90% of the bond value for small businesses, that if you're a minority owned, veteran owned, or 8A, and contracts 100,000 or less, the federal government reinsures the surety 90%. So they'll only have, 10% of the loss, should there be a loss, and 80% of bond value for all others. So let's take the $500,000 quick out. The surety only has a 20% risk factor, and the government takes 80. So that right there is an incentive for some surety companies to do business with the government. Okay. I'm sure that it crossed your mind what the premium might be. But as you notice, it's called a fee. Called a fee, not a premium, because bonding is a credit instrument. And when the surety company underwrites or guarantees the contract, they charge, quote, a fee or a premium. Now, what happens when you're involved with Small Business Administration, that 0.610% of a contract amount, that's paid to the SBA by you. And the surety companies have rates in addition to the 2.6%. Traditionally, it's 2.5 plus 0.6. So that means your bond rate is 3.1%. That's $30.10 a thousand. Now, the goal obviously is to move that number down to 3.1%. There are some sureties that will charge less than 2.5% for their rate, but the SBA will never change their 0.6. Now the SBA fee down below, that's not something that you should be concerned about. This is a slide that I took out of the partnership, but I wanted to show you how the fee structure is. I don't charge for bid bonds either. No charge for bid bonds. Some people charge for bid bonds. But we want to make sure that you understand how to calculate your premium when you're bidding a project. So to make it simple, you can just say 3.0, but it's 3.1 times whatever your contract amount is, would be your premium, your fee. We okay? Any questions? Hello?
I'm here.
Okay, I just
I'm-
want to make sure.
I'm
Will
gonna
that
be,
work for a general contractor too? The
General contractor too.
Here, no,
3%, that's,
Yes. Pardon me?
we'll lose the contract at 3%.
You'll lose the contract at 3%.
Yeah, if you have a $10 million contract and you put.
How much money you say? 10 million? If you had a 10 million, we're not talking about the SBA.
That's that's an example.
Okay. I just want to make sure we were being realistic in an example. If you had a $10 million level bonding, then we're not going to involve the SBA. This is a growth process.
This is Virginia, but for me, when I do the bond, I actually put that price in the contract. They expect that.
You're exactly right, Virginia. And see, some people think that's a double dip.
Well, Darrell, you said something before, and I don't think people heard you because you were looking, but you're right. The 6.6% definitely, you're looking at the SBA.
Correct.
As you grow your capacity, you're definitely, your fee definitely to your surety company should definitely lessen.
It will, Joe. That's
right.
The 2.5 is the surety rate, okay? The 0.6 is the SBA's rate. There can be that you get your financial statements and it can get down as low as 2% on the surety side. Then you're looking at a 2.6% rate. So there's some leeway there, but you have to get to that level of financial reporting, get to that level of profitability. Remember now, because see, if you're doing a deal based upon your credit score, that has nothing to do with your balance sheet. So the underwriters at the surety company are going to charge 3% for a $500,000 project, but no bid bond fee. Okay? This is the process. I'm an authorized agent. I seek approval from the SBA surety. Get the guarantee from the SBA. Well, no, I have to submit it to the SBA and then get the approval. And then I issue the bond. But we start, first of all, by getting you pre-qualified. Once we get you pre-qualified, then I can submit it to the surety company. Surety company give me the approval to submit it to the SBA. Okay? Then the SBA gives me approval to issue the bond. That's what's called Plan A, prior approval company. Most of the insurance companies that participate in the SBA bond guarantee program are prior approval companies. To date, there are only about 11 of them that are not. And what that means is they don't have to ask the SBA for a guarantee. The SBA will automatically accept, will automatically issue the guarantee because the surety companies that are Plan B are your larger surety companies, and they'll use their underwriting staff because they're looking to really take you out of the SBA and move you to the standard market.
And
Go ahead.
why is it the SBA? Okay. Okay.
Pardon me?
Could you repeat?
Like why we have to put the SBA in there?
We have a bad reception.
Like why does it have to do the SBA bond? Okay.
Say that again, man. I didn't quite understand you.
You're having a bad connection, so type your question in and we'll make sure we poll your question.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that'll work. Okay.
Type it in chat. Mhm. Anyone else have a question?
Okay. All right, well, I have some additional, go ahead, I'm listening.
So you can proceed.
Okay.
Darrell, thanks for going over the process because you know, in working with our relationship with the SBA and the SFAA, this is the most critical component of our relationship.
Right.
So thank you for sharing the process. And once again, I keep saying it, people don't know how important it is. And the success of our programs have not been the businesses who came through the workshops, and after the workshops, they, you know, were happy that they participated in the workshops and they did not move forward. Success of our program and helping businesses to grow capacity,
right,
enjoy the risk and the reward of receiving is after the workshops. We will be meeting with you one-on-one to receive your intake form and all of your information that Darrell is speaking to. So therefore we can pass you along to Darrell to the pre-qualification process to obtain a bond. So thank you for sharing the process.
Oh, absolutely, Joe. And it's not your regular process, normal process, because we deal with the SBA and we deal with the bonding companies too. So simultaneously. But I have some additional notables that I want to share with you this evening that you know, for general contractors, or if you joint venturing, These are some things that, you know, will be important to the underwriter. Joint ventures, you see, you have to have a separate EIN number, separate financial statements with working capital. Ownership determined by the JV own percentage. So keep that in mind if you approach to be in a joint venture. And you are looking to bond your portion. See, a lot of times we have situations in joint ventures, but we're not having to put up the bond. And once you sign the indemnity agreement of that other bonding company, then you pretty much shut yours down, depending upon what size project it is, because of a legal term called joint and several liability. You're jointly and several liable with your joint venture partner. You got a $10 million project, joint venture, and you've got 20% of it. You got 20%, but if he goes down or she goes down, the job is yours. So keep that in mind when you're looking at joint venturing. There are ways to structure joint ventures that we'll have to have a conversation about where we limit your liability. It's one of those features I learned from Egbert and Mr. Russell. But design build, we want to make sure that you have E&O coverage. At least your architects, engineers, whoever's doing the design, you don't want to carry that design build under your bond. You're not a designer. So we have to get the E&O from who's ever doing the design build. If there's environmental risk, we certainly want to look to see who has a pollution liability coverage for remediation firm. So these are just some things that are outside of, you know, the bond guarantee program. This is everyday bonding conversation. Okay, annually renewable contracts. I see them, and you know, the cities and the counties, they're good for a 1 year with a 3-year option zone. That happens. The deal is we will write them on an annual basis. Annual basis. See, they may have 1 year with 2 or 3 year options, so we're not going to write a bond for 3 years, because what that does is it takes the ability of the surety company underwriter to not pre-qualify you on an annual basis. Your situation last year may be different than it is today. So that's why we want to look at it on an annual renewable basis. And as you can see, the Quick app is eligible. New applications each year, annual bond forms. We have those bond forms. Task/work orders, indefinite quantities contract, individual order, multi-year terms negated by individual orders. That make any sense? You got a multi-year term contract, but individual orders make up the multi-year terms. So that's why we want to write them on an annual basis. They may say, well, it's a $5 million multi-year term, but what's the annual term? What's the amount of work orders that we can expect to write during that period? So that's the kind of information we're going to try to gather so that we'll have an idea as to what you can, or what we can anticipate your multi-year contract will look like on an annual basis. Here are some service contracts that the SBA will underwrite as well. Trash collection, recycling, mowing, lawn, landscaping, security, and janitorial. Any questions? Okay. Now, this slide shares the
I have a question. We have a question in chat.
Okay, I'm sorry, I missed it. It didn't come up.
Let me read it to you.
All right.
Miss TJ Jewel, question is, what's the SBA bonding limit? Most projects that I've seen requires at least $1 million bonding minimum.
Well, As you recall, I had a slide for 500,000, I had another slide for 6.5 million. And then another one for 10. So the limit for SBA, non-federal, is $6 million. Federal contracts with the SBA, contracting officer approval can go up to 10. So if there's a $1 million opportunity, certainly the SBA is a market for you. Did I answer your question? Okay.
She hasn't
Go ahead.
typed anything, her response yet.
Okay.
Let me see what it says. It said,
Okay.
Okay, I can't see. Yes,
Okay.
thank
Good.
you.
You're welcome. Now, what I'm sharing here are the surety partners. These are the companies that are doing business with the SBA. I don't represent all of them. I represent 4 of them. But what I want to share with you is a part of the Alliance, Joe and Tommy. There are some Plan B companies in here. Travelers, CNA, merchants. There are 11 Plan B companies. Before the legislation came down and Tommy was involved with Senator Nunn and created Plan B, which means they don't have to get approved from the SBA and you can do business directly with them, most of them anyway, but they all go through bonding agents. And that's a piece of history that, that's a legacy for the Alliance, is that Plan B companies are very much alive. Merchants is one that I do business with. Joe, I think you know Peter Gibbs.
Yeah, absolutely.
He runs Merchants. That's a Plan B company.
And to your point, Darrell, that you're making, if you could also share, because you're right, I mean, the legacy is there. There was a need for the B companies. And that was an opportunity for them to, look at, not lacking performance or lacking anything else, but it was an opportunity to allow, small minority companies to obtain a bond. But today, a lot of owners are very AAA rated A, and that's a process. So
that's a good point, Joe.
That although that may be an opportunity, you have to know exactly in your risk management department. Remember, we were talking about your RFP. When you're building your RFP, if you don't have the intelligence in house, make sure you get with your bond producer, you get with your insurance agent,
right?
That they're matching apples to apples, because some insurance companies, some owners will not take or allow a non-AAA rated bond.
Exactly. Good point, Joe. Now, the main caveat, I just share some thought process. All these companies are treasury listed. That's one of the main criteria, is treasury listed. All of them are on the treasury list. The federal government publishes a treasury list every year that states what the single job bonding capacity is for each one of these companies. That's one criteria. Then another criteria when it comes is that what's their AM Best rating? Because some risk managers look at the AM Best as a showing of how strong they are financially, whereas the government, that treasury list is a government list where the government will accept bonds from the sureties for that particular limit. So that's very, very important. And let me share a little thought process with you about contractors and general contractors, because I want you to look at your contracts. Sometimes they will say, the surety companies that's acceptable to us, and they won't even qualify with treasury list. They won't even qualify with AM Best. They just say acceptable to us. Then I see some that'll say treasury listed. Now, I can be treasury listed for $500,000, but the contract may say 2 million, but I'm treasury listed. Unless they specify, it could be a point for discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, that's my story. I'm gonna stick to it. Are there any questions?
Was the person who was on the phone and had a bad connection, were they able to type in, or are you available now for your question?
Yes, absolutely.
She answered it. He answered it. I read it to him.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, good,
Well,
perfect, perfect.
we have 16 participants, and that's good. I'm happy to see that. And I want to help each and every one of you if I can. Whatever you
Three
have.
staff. We have more participating because Precise has 4.
That's right.
And Bryson has about 4, if 5.
Well,
Joining us right
by all means, give Ms. Bryson my condolences.
And let's see, any more questions? Okay, if you, Mr. Darrell Morgan's information is there. You guys write it down.
Right.
Darrell Morgan, 5th Down Consulting Group, LLC.
Mm-hmm.
Telephone numbers 404-957-5780. Email
It's
5th
Yep.
Down Consulting Group.com.
That's the email. Right.
Thank you, Ms. Beth Varner. Can you all tell us if we will be able to get this slide deck as well?
You will eventually.
Certainly.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mr. Morgan, that was a great session. Thank you so much. You made
And
bonding simple.
let me share my screen. You stop sharing, Mr. Morgan,
Okay.
and I will share ours for the last little bit.
Okay. Now, how do I get out of this screen?
The green
Okay,
thing say stop
sharing.
sharing. Okay, so let's see now.
Okay.
I'm going to, I'm supposed to share my screen, huh? Yes, here it is. I think that's it.
I hope you guys wrote some questions down. We can talk about.
Okay, here's your homework assignment. Mr. Morgan, you can tell them that.
Say what now?
The homework assignment.
Yes.
On the board, you guys, on the screen, write this down. Number 1, what is a bid bond?
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, I don't see no hands writing. What is a performance bond? Number 3, what is payment bond?
Let's say payment bond, right?
And number 4, what is a maintenance bond? Somebody sent me. You guys see that?
Yes, we see it.
Okay, I'm going to the next screen.
Okay.
Okay. Are there any questions for Mr. Morgan? Our next session. Next section is October 25th.
Thank you, my brother, for blessing us tonight. You did an amazing job.
We're gonna cover. I'm gonna do the survey in chat.
Okay.
Like I normally do it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna just type in this and chat. Something I don't know. I'm doing something different. I can't. Oh, here you go.
Great, Darrell, thank you very much, and we look forward to following throughout the program.
Okay, man.
And hopefully we will have, not hopefully, we will have some great success stories that come out of the opportunity to increase their bond or obtain.
Absolutely, Joe. I look forward to it. The market opportunities. We have some great sureties, both Plan A and Plan B. And I just take advantage of my 35 years of being in the bond business.
Absolutely.
I can help you grow your firm And this is generational stuff here, really. Okay, you want your kids to know about this, because it hasn't changed. It just hadn't been available, widely known in our community.
That's right. That's good.
Readily, yeah. We've got to have it. So how many other times we need to do this, Joe? We'll do it.
Good deal. Well, thank you very much. All right, Beth,
Okay.
over to you.
Thank you very
Okay.
much, guys.
I, in the chat, I have typed in our survey for this class. We had a lot of questions, a lot of information, and we want you to go ahead. You guys know the routine. We have a very good participation rate. I have to get with a couple of people so that they were not too savvy with the clicking. What you do is click on the blue link in chat, and it will take you automatically to the survey. And again, our next session, October 25th, Module 6, Banking and Finance. And it will be by Mr. Jeffrey Patterson from the Small Business Administration.
Okay.
And your homework, those 4 questions, will be due on October the 25th. However, let's digress. I have not been getting a great participation. You haven't been sending me your homework assignments. We need that because we can see how you're progressing. So I would like that. Send me that also.
Okay.
Mr. Joe Jackson, Executive Director, his contact information is there. My information is there.
Beth, I think you pretty much said everything tonight. Before I turn it over for, just see if Hebrew wants to say anything and then send it to you to close out. I just want to reiterate what Beth definitely said, because a part of the whole program is we are consolidating the actual workshops along with your intake form, along with your homework assignments, because that's important to us, because as we're doing our assessment on your business, we're looking at how you answered the question. So, pass or fail is just basically where are you at with your understanding of the subject at this time. So when we're meeting with you for the follow-ups, we can go over the homework assignments to make sure you have more clarity. So please do complete your homework assignments. We will be sending out a homework checklist for missing assignments. So for you, the ones who have not completed their homeworks, we'll definitely bring them up to date, okay? Hebrew, would you like to share anything?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Just excited for those that are participating in this course. We've done this for many, many years. And I share with you, one of the things that breaks my heart more than anything else is that the wealth of information that's poured out by all the instructors is not put to good use. So I challenge all of you to make sure that you incorporate these nuggets of knowledge into your business, because as Brother Morgan said, this is generational. And so those that may have bonds or those that are looking for their first bond, this is critical. And we're going to talk as we get into is how we look at bonds strategically. But I challenge you all to just sit back, take a moment, and just absorb this information, make your notes. And we welcome the opportunity to talk with each of you about your business strategy and your business plan and how you're really going to take these things and acquire contracts. But Joe and Beth, you're doing a great job. Brother Morgan, thank you so much for pointing out your knowledge. Just let you all have a great evening.
All right. You guys have a good evening. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. You shall be getting emails from me. Bye-bye.
Okay, good night.
Okay, we did well in Jamaica. Got it?
Yeah, it's just hot here, almost 100 degrees. So I'm burning up. I'm outside.
Jesus. We got, okay. I'm going to now disconnect.